So does that need to go into Dynamics, for instance? What if there's any like billing which needs to be calculated? And are there any other processes which it's triggering behind the scenes? And then the last part to that is the management. So once you have, your fully completed document, how are you managing it at the moment? Is it being stored, in a filing cabinet? Is that the safest and most secure way, of storing that? And also from an it's available to you, if there was ever an audit carried out on the business. So as you can see, this is a very manual process behind it. And if we then step forward to the Docusign Agreement Cloud, effectively we're building these 4 processes into our solution. So the preparing of the document, it can be prepared, in Docusign, and as we go through, and I'll show you a demo a little bit later in the presentation, I can show you the 4 stages of the Docusign Agreement Cloud. We also have 350 pre-built integrations as well. So this is, from your line of business applications, right through to your common applications such as Microsoft or Google, for instance. So let me just move. And as I was saying, these are some of the main, ISVs and main integrations that we have. Our Microsoft integration, that is the integration into Microsoft 365, into SharePoint, into Dynamics 365. We also have very strong Salesforce integrations as well. So a lot of our technologies are, built in the Salesforce platform. But then we have, solutions like Google, Box for file storage. And then when you move to the, the lower half, that's where we have like our specific line of business integrations. So for instance, for HR, we have a very strong Workday integration. Or if you take something like IT operations, then we integrate with ServiceNow. That's just a selection of the integrations that we have. If you go on our website, you can see like the full list of integrations in there, and we integrate with a lot of stuff that your end customers will be, will be using. And as we were talking about line of business, I just wanted to show you, particularly the Docusign can work with all of the different lines of business in an organization. But the 3 that I would kind of highlight as where we're really strong. First one being HR. HR probably is our most popular line of business for Docusign. The good thing with HR is that touches everybody in the organization. So everyone will be using Docusign, whether it's a new hire, where they're signing their new contract, whether it's, an increased contract, or if they've moved to a new position, and also all the NDAs which go behind the scenes with that as well, from a candidate perspective. The next big area that I would, speak about as well is legal. So again, lots of contracts, lots of agreements in legal. So this is again another strong area for Docusign. And then the final one, which I'm going to point out today, is around procurement. So again, lots of documents, lots of purchase orders, master service agreements, partner service agreements. All of this is made a lot easier, by using Docusign. And as we said right at the beginning, agreements are everywhere. And this just gives you a snapshot of the sort of use cases which you can use across functions. So a lot of the time what we'll see is that businesses will make an investment of Docusign into a specific line of business. So if I take HR as the example, HR will then take it out for their, for their specific needs. But then, may turn out that the business needs to start using it for, sales orders, or, they want to be able to track, assets in the organization. So IT and operations will start to use it. And then eventually what you'll see is that the businesses will take a business-wide approach to DocuSign and start using it in all of their different departments. So over 500,000 organizations use DocuSign e-signature. And what we want to discover is why they do this. So as we were focusing on e-signature today, because that's like the the introductory level, we send, track, sign agreements, anywhere in the world, as the #1 electronic signature solution. So what does that mean? We're increasing speed and efficiency by automating workflows. We integrate with all of these other applications that that you work with on a daily basis, and your customers work with on a daily basis. As I was saying, 350 plus integrations. And we're compliant with industry and global regulations as well. And again, we'll dive a bit more detail into that, specifically for the European Union. So essentially, with e-signature, you can do business more efficiently. There's an average saving of $36 per agreement in time and materials. So that's not just the cost of the paper, the printer, the toner, but also the time that it takes, the time that it's taken your employees and your customers' employees to actually be able to send this document and have it signed and completed. So at DocuSign, we're allowing you to quickly prepare these documents for signature, with automatic form field recognition. So all you need to do is drag the box in, and then it will fill that information in for you. You don't have to keep manually putting it in over and over again. You can enforce approval policies as well. So if it needs to go through a specific signer route, so one person will sign it, then the next person will sign it. You can enforce that, at that level before you even send anything out. And you don't have to connect with people and contact people to check the status, because it's all done in real time as well. And the reminders are sent automatically. We all want to be able to do business faster and better as well. So interesting stat for you is that 50% of agreements are completed in less than 15 minutes, and 80% of agreements are in less than a day using DocuSign. So as you can see, this is really speeding up the whole process. And you think about the speed of business today, and with everybody working remotely, this becomes even more crucial to be able to turn around documents faster. So you can verify, the identity digitally, so you don't have to show up in person. So we have, identity products, which means that you could scan, a passport or a driving license, which will verify your identity before you go in and actually sign the document itself. We have a mobile app as well, so you can use it on any device, and it's the same signing and creation experience that you would have on a laptop as you would have on the mobile application as well. And we're optimized for mobile devices, so we automatically will adapt PDF documents for easy readability as well. So again, we're enhancing the functionality of our mobile application, so that you can sign and create documents on the go. The next part is around compliance, and this is a very important part to us. And obviously, this is the reason why you would be doing, the e-signature and signing these documents, because now what you have is a full audit trail of who is signing the agreement, where they're signing it, and also timestamp and date stamp. So this will automatically generate court admissible evidence of that full process. So if for any reason there was a there was a doubt to say, I didn't sign this document, it wasn't me, all of this evidence will then go towards that case to say, well, yes, you did sign it, here's your details, or no, it was signed out of China, or it's signed out of Russia as an example, and you're based in Poland. So that doesn't make any sense. So this will pull a full transparency of all of the signers and all of the completion times from that as well. So as we show the demo, I'll show you what that looks like when we generate that actual document itself. And we comply with a load of the industry regulations as well. So like life sciences, FedRAMP, HIPAA as well. A lot of these are kind of EU regulated industry standards as well. And your customers are going to want to use it with the existing applications and processes which they're already used to. So as we were saying, we have hundreds of pre-built integrations, and we have an open API as well. So if they want to build an API into a solution which isn't on our list, then they can do that as well. So but the main ones, so Salesforce, Workday, Microsoft, and Google, we integrate into all of those. So it's kind of a seamless, working of Docusign in their favorite applications. And a lot of the time, this is avoiding like a re-input of data as well, which is going to save time, but it's also going to save, efficiency to the business. And we can then trigger, we can then trigger like post-signature processes such as payments or provisioning of accounts, or in the HR use case, employee onboarding as well. So you can see that we're building up, this whole structure around making businesses more agreeable and moving away from the kind of manual paper-based processes. We also comply with all of the European signature standards. So we are EIDAS compliant. We are GDPR compliant as well, and we have the qualified trust service provider on the European trust list as well. And our portfolio of identity and authentication methods spans right across the EU. So if we take identity, as that example, and the IODAS, regulations behind that, there's really three different standards of signature which are defined, and these are adopted by all of the European Union member states. So those three are standard, advanced, and qualified signature. And what this does is this actually allows for a smoother transaction, but also continues the compliance, which is most important for businesses to make sure that they're compliant with everything which they're doing to European standards. So as I was saying, there's three different models here. So the first one is your basic signature, so your standard based signature. This doesn't require any verification of identity for the signer. Obviously, you can enforce this. You can put in single sign-on. You can put in two-factor authentication. But most of the time, this is what's going to be the common usage. And most of the transactions are going to be just your basic electronic signature. Now, some transactions are going to require, an advanced level of signature, and this is where AES comes into effect. And just think that AES is adding the identity verification. So you're now going to have to prove who you are. When you're signing the document, And as that could be ID verification, so it could be, as we said before, using a passport, driving license, or another form of documentation which proves who you are. But basically, it means the signatures have to be uniquely linked to the signer, and the signature record will show any evidence of tampering as well. So that's really important, to have that in place. And then the next level up from that is qualified electronic signature. And this is actually where it requires face-to-face verification. Now, that doesn't have to be in person, but it has to be, it could be video. So it could be, up, two people verifying through video, or it could be, in-person verification if you wanted that as well. So this is for special, EU legal status, and it's equivalent to a handwritten signature if it's being witnessed by somebody. Sometimes this is actually required by law on certain documents and also in certain countries. And it takes away, the burden of having to prove who you say you are. So these are like the three key forms of electronic signature, and depending on how secure your customer wants their signing process to be, will depend on what level of electronic signature they will go for. So what I'm now going to do is I'm just going to jump into a demo and just show you the Docusign process from creating the document, signing the document, and then showing you the certificate of completion. So I just need to change over. So let me just go back in here and log in to Docusign. And as you can see, this is like the browser-based version, which I'm going to show you today. So this is so I'm just going to open my demo environment for you. And then we can go in and create the document. So as I was saying, this is the browser-based version. Obviously, if you're using it through Office 365, then you wouldn't actually need to use like the browser-based system. So this is my home page. As you can see, I can white label this as well. So I can bring this. So I can white label it to my business. And in here, we can see, kind of a quick overview of where we are with any, existing documents which we are sending. But what I want to do is just go in and show you the signature piece itself. So this is really important because the signature itself is not the part which is court admissible. You'll see there's like this little code underneath, and this is like the unique code to everybody who has Docusign and is sending a document, because this is the part which actually proves that it's myself and my user that is sending the document. So there's a few different options here in terms of signature. You can choose from a default signature, which is what I've done. You could also go in and freeform draw your signature in there as well if you're using a tablet and a pen. Or the third option is you can upload your signature into Docusign as well. Whatever option happens, the code remains the same. So this is your unique reference, your particular signature in there. So let's just go back into the home page. And what I'm going to do today is I'm actually going to go in and use a template. Now, templates are really important because if you're using a template, you can like pre-build all of that information. And then what you can do is you can just go in and send, keep sending the same template, just change the details each time. So again, it speeds up the process. But I'm just going to use one of my pre-built templates already and show you how easy it is to, create this document for signature. So we can name our template. Obviously, mine is named already. We can then go in and add documents to the envelope. And almost think of an envelope like, like a paper envelope. What you're doing is you're just essentially putting these documents into that envelope so that when you send it, the recipient will then have access to the envelope, to the documents which you've stored in there. So there's a few options here. We can either upload the documents from our local machine, or we can get them from the cloud. So we have integrations with Box, Dropbox, Google Drive, and OneDrive. So you can link all of these up, and you can, attach documents from any of these formats. We can also go and add recipients to the envelope as well. So in this case, we have two different recipients. And what I could do is I can set a signing order. So the first person will receive the document, sign it, then the next person will sign the document after. If I just wanted everybody to be able to sign it at the same time, I just take the signing order off and then I send it for signature. So everybody will receive it at the same time now, but I just want I want each person to sign it through the process. I could go and add another recipient. I could go and add two other recipients. Doesn't matter. But just bear in mind that you can add multiple recipients in there, and we can also change the roles as well. So, for instance, in this case, HR might not need to sign it; they just need to receive a copy. I'm not going to do that because I want to demonstrate the sign-in process. But in this occasion, I'm one person's going to sign it, then the next person's going to sign it after that. We could create custom messaging for each person, but in the interest of time, we're not going to do that. And we can also void envelopes after a certain amount of days as well. And that's really important because say you had a sales order and that expired at the end of the month, then obviously you don't want somebody signing that document after that that sales order has quote has expired. So it's important to be able to to do that as well. So now we've set everything up, we can now move to the next step. And this is where we do the drag and drop of the fields. So here's my document. And as you can see in here, I've got two signatories. I've just dragged and dropped these fields in here. So I could just go in and get rid of these. Or I can go and drag them and position them where I want them. So that's the first one. But then also the second one, what we can do is we can change the recipient. So each recipient will have a different color, and then we can drag and drop the second one in there as well. So in terms of fields, we've got our signature field, which is obviously the most important one to sign the document. We have our name, and then we also have the date signed. But we could go in and put a text box in there. We could put some radio buttons. It all depends what you need, when you're sending the document. But what we're going to do now is just save and close that. And we're going to go and use the template. So let's use it. As you can see, it's already populated the information that I need. Obviously, if I needed to send it to a different contact, I could just change the information in here. But let's send that. And what you can see now is it's just asking me to sign the document. So I'm going to go ahead and sign the document. This is now opening up in the in the signer's experience. So again, you can see you can white label it. It does say powered by Docusign at the bottom, but it can be white labeled. And you can see I just got a notification there to say that I received this document. So the good thing is that you'll receive notifications at 3 separate stages. The first one will be if the recipient has viewed the document, which is what I'm doing now. The next one will be that they've signed the document. And then the third stage will be that all parties have signed the document. So what we're going to go in here now is initial, sign the document. You can see it just pulled my signature from what I showed you before. And then finish. And now what it's going to do is because it shows me in real time, you can see that if I click into this, you can see that it's been completed by the first recipient, but it still needs to be signed by the second recipient. So the good thing is this will show you, in real time who signed it, what stage it's at. Obviously, if I need to go and resend it, I could do that, but I'm going to go and sign it again. And what you see when I sign it the second time is I can already see that the first person has signed it. So I sign it. Obviously, these will be different names, but just in the interest of the demo, both are the same. And then a finish. And then that is my completed document. So everybody has signed that now. That has been completed. What I can do now is I can download the certificate of completion. So open this up. So this is what I was saying about the court admissible evidence. So every time an envelope is completed, it creates a certificate of completion to the creator. And this is where, as I was saying, you can see the information about the signatures. So in here, I can see that there's my signature. I can see when it was sent. I can see when it was viewed, and I can see when it was signed. So date and timestamp. And you can see that for each recipient as well. Obviously, if I added a additional security level, so if I added, an identity level, then I would see that it was verified by that particular identity as well. So every time this is completed, this will create a certificate of completion. That's really important, just to keep hold of that, because if it did go to court of law, that is effectively what the business would need to provide, as evidence to their legal case. The last part that I wanted to just show you is around reporting as well. So there's a few different reports which we could go into. And what this will do is this will actually track how quickly people are able to sign, have been able to sign documents. It will track like the envelope usage, so how many envelopes are being sent out. And it will also be able to track open rates as well. So if you've got any outstanding, then that will show up in here as reports as well. So again, really useful. And as you send more envelopes, it will start to show you more around your individual environmental impact as a business as well, which is really important to kind of businesses wanting to go carbon neutral and take a green approach to their businesses. So I'm just going to switch back to the presentation. And we're going to cover off licensing. Let's go back into it. So let's cover off how to license DocuSign. So there's two main editions, and that is the Business Pro and the Enterprise Pro edition. And the main thing for the Business Pro is adding the custom fields, you're adding custom form functionality as well. So a lot of the time, if you're gonna be having integrations, if you need more of a customized experience to the signing, then Business Pro is going to be what you're going to need to go for. And then the next tier up from that is Enterprise Pro. So it has all of the features and functionality of Business Pro, but this is where it has your advanced workflows. It has your advanced compliancy features as well. So if you're going to be, using stuff like qualified electronic signature, then you're probably more going to go down the Enterprise Pro route for your actual signature base. If you need to have multiple branding in in the portal, again, then you're going to need to go the Enterprise Pro route. And also, if you need single sign-on, so if you need single sign-on into applications, then Enterprise Pro is going to be the product which you're going to need in there. And there's two ways to license DocuSign. So there's the per user model, which is a minimum of 5 users, or there's the per envelope model, which is a minimum of 500 envelopes, or you can refer to them as transactions as well. So with the user model, this is where you're effectively licensing the named users of DocuSign. So 5 users in the organization, they will all be named as being able to, send documents. And each user is effectively going to be allocated 100 envelopes, but they are pooled at the account level. So 5 users is the equivalent of 500 envelopes. That could be that one user sends 2 envelopes and the other 4 users send the other 498 envelopes, as an example. The other model is on an envelope basis, which means that you can have an unlimited number of users that can actually send envelopes. And effectively, it's just a pool of envelopes which everybody can go in and consume. And once those envelopes have been, completely consumed, then they can be added in additional 500 envelope bundles. Also, the support is mandatory. So it's charged at 15% of the overall license cost. And you can't mix and match plans. So you can't have, 2 users on Business Pro and 3 users on Enterprise Pro. You either go fully Business Pro or you go fully Enterprise Pro. So that wraps up everything that I had to present to you today. We've got a few minutes left over, so if you do have any questions, then feel free to put them in the chat window, and we can answer any questions that you have. If not, I would like to thank you all for your time today, and I hope to hear from you all soon.